Okay, let's hope this starts playing and I may pop out of the screen because, yes, it is funny having two of me there. But yes, I went wild book shopping and I figured this would just be so much easier to present as a live stream. I know it's Wednesday night, but I'm hoping to get out and do some yard work tomorrow, and I don't want to watch the clock once I'm out there. So if anyone manages to pop in and join me, hello and welcome. Hope you enjoy. If you're team rewatch, thank you so much. And here are all the books that I had fun shopping for. Hello and welcome to my I decided books were more important than a night guard. So, yes, I've decided no to the night guard. I had the money put aside. It's been sitting there and waiting since November of 2024. And I finally decided, you know what? I've been mostly behaving. Other than groceries, we haven't really been buying anything other than, of course, stuff for the kids, their food and litter, etc. So it was time to go have some book shopping therapy fun. Now, I also wanted to share, yes, I do have a cup with me. This says Fluent in Sarcasm. Anyone who knows me understands there's a reason I have that cup. And part of the reason I have it with me today is there's a lot of books to get through, which is why this is going up as one of my live streams rather than one of my videos because it is not going to be short. And I'm not going to talk a lot about each of the titles, but girl went crazy and I spent half the money I put aside for that night guard, which, no, it was not inexpensive. And I decided I would get way more enjoyment out of years of books than I would the other. I've got Reiki and other things to fix my jaw and all of that. As Ven says, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I am quite excited. And the reason I decided no night guard is since this has been taken care of, thank you very much to a competent dentist, I haven't had any problems with my jaw. I didn't have problems during the procedure. I didn't have to spend a week or 2 weeks eating soft foods because my jaw wouldn't open. It is literally fine. I've had less problems now than I did for the 4 months prior to. So there's that. I should also, since this is going up on my live stream, say thank you to everyone who's able to join me while this is coming up live. I'm probably sitting off to the side on the screen at this point because, well, it's fun having, two of me on the screen. Also, a big thank you to Team Rewatch. Always much appreciated. Okay, on to the books. So, I have not been to Indigo since January 2024 was my last trip there, and I would have had a book haul video on what I bought there the last time. Often I am a discount shopper. They have an amazing discount section there, and that's where I typically find a number of things. And it's where I found all my fun finds this time. And I can actually hold them up. This was all my fun finds at Indigo this time. And all but The Six of Crows came from the discount table. I'm pointing that out because that cost me $75. And yeah, only one of the books was full price. If the others had been, that would have been most of my shopping spree. And I have to say, there was one I passed up. I'm still tempted to maybe go back and get it. We'll see. It was in the discount section, $20, Edgar Allan Poe, sprayed edges, illustrated copy. Had it in my hand and thought, well, I already have Edgar Allan Poe. I actually have 2 copies of his entire collections that I have yet to read. It's a beautiful book, but $20, I can buy other things. And I did. So instead of Edgar, who I left there, I found Rick Mercer, Talking to Canada. And if you're a fan of This Hour Has 22 Minutes, or if you've ever seen Rick Mercer's show, you know he is also very fluent in sarcasm. Probably why I enjoy him. If you've ever seen any of his rant skits, which I have no doubt are on YouTube, yes, I adore Rick Mercer and his sarcastic wit. So I don't typically read biographies, but I thought this would certainly be a fascinating read. Again, as I am, yes, a fan of This Hour Has 22 Minutes, and I was so excited to find out they're still on. You can also watch them on YouTube if you've never seen them. It's a show from the East Coast here in Canada, and I love it. This is Mark Critch. And if you've seen any of the satire lately about Captain Makeup, yes, this is the comedian who does him. So this is an embarrassment of Critch's. Immature stories from my grown-up life. And these 2 Canadian comedians are amazing. And it was a thrill to find them for $16. So yes, this is why Edgar stayed on the table, and I bought these 2. So I'm very much looking forward to those reads because Divinity knows we could all use some humor and lighthearted reading these days. Now, Six of Crows, I have heard about on a number of channels. I'll be honest, I can't entirely remember what some of the reviews were, but this was one of the few books that was under $20, brand new. And on the back, it's handy. It shows the various series by this author. This is by Lee Bardugos. And then again, it lists the different series. When I read, what caught me was the title, because like I say, I've heard of it. Of course, the silver on the crow's wings. 6 dangerous outcasts, 1 impossible heist. Now that almost made me think of Fast and Furious, which I've never seen any of them. I know of them because a number of my students when I was working in high school were all Fast and Furious fans, and they'd seen the movies, knew the characters, but I've never seen one. But I figured this would be an interesting read, so I picked it up. One thing that I did notice as I was in Indigo this time, as I walked in, there were a number of tables, as there always were, of various books they're promoting. And, various books they're promoting. They, of course, had a Canadian author table and a number of other tables. But a number of the books that they had were books with sprayed edges. They were beautiful books. They had beautiful covers. Some of the titles I have heard about on other channels in BookTube. I had hummed and hawed, but of course, when I opened them up, because they were all hardback, they were all hardcovers, of course, the least expensive was $30 up to $66. Now, if you've seen my book haul videos and what I spend at the thrift store bringing home 20 to 25 books, no, I'm not paying that for one book. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. No. I mean, seriously, if I'm going to spend money on books instead of a mouth guard, I have different priorities than most people. And here's the other thing about it. 6 of Crows in the United States will cost $11.99. Here in Canada, it's $16.50. Now, I don't know what that doofus is talking about in terms of, ooh, Canada's been screwing us over. Dude, you get the lumber from our country, print the books, send them back, and then charge us extra. Like, seriously, snap a neuron. Wait, you don't have any. Happy place, happy place. And this book made me happy, so we'll talk about this next. And yes, shiny, shiny, caught my attention. This is Moon Magic. Yes, cat, I will take off the sticker. Lunar Spells to Attract an Enchanted Life. This is by Marie Bruce. There were a number of her other books that were on the shelf, but I decided to go for this one, and woo-woo! It does have sprayed edges. I am looking forward to going through this. This is a new to me author, but I figured beautiful book, $15. I was going to give her a try for sure. Those are the books that I picked up at Indigo, and I am very excited to getting to read them. I will likely start with, well, I don't know if it'll be Mercer or Critch, but it'll definitely be one of those two books. The next two items that I'm going to talk about have books, but there's more to them than books. And I have in the past, when I used to be a regular shopper at Indigo, found some other sets like these. One in particular, and I'll be talking more about this in my spring cleaning video, is Animal Messages by Susie Green. These are published by Seco Books, and they're small books and card decks. This is an oracle deck, and it's about working with animal guides, and the artwork on the cards and in the books are absolutely amazing. So I very much enjoyed Susie Green's work. I've used her oracle deck numerous times. It's one that I still continue to use, and I'll talk more about that in an upcoming video. And the animal message cards are in my, yes, laugh box, along with my Wheel of Light cards, Mayan Oracle, medicine cards, and there are 3 or 4 other decks in there, and I'll share those in an upcoming video in the future. I was very excited to find Bird Messages. This is also by Susie Green. So this is my only specific bird deck. I'm so looking forward to giving this a try. So there's our book that comes with it. Discover wisdom from your bird guides. And I appreciate that she uses the word guides rather than totem, because to me, totem is something specific to certain people. And as that is not part of my heritage, I use the word guides. There's just an example of the information. So she gives a little bit of information about the bird itself, as well as some of the meanings and messages. And yes, I'm just taking these out of the box for the first time, so it still has the little band on it. How's that? Starling is the first card there, and we have a number of starlings. Never quite this many in the city. We have a toucan. So the artwork on these are just amazing. And I'll go through hanging parrot and show these and talk about them. Ooh, look at the back on these. That is gorgeous. So I will talk more about these in an upcoming video. And no, I will not be using the cards until they get a good cleansing with some incense smoke. That's just one of my things. Another deck that I found, and the universe is a funny, funny place. This is numerology, book, and card deck. Now, I do need to get in touch with Cat Paws and talk to her about some numerology, and I'm looking forward to getting information from her as she does numerology. I just do it for my own interest. But when I saw this deck, I thought, it wouldn't hurt to learn a little bit more. And I do have a number of books on numerology. It was part of a course that I took for parapsychology. Yes, I do have a certificate in parapsychology. And so numerology was part of that study. I have a book about Pythagoras and numerology as well. I do have another source of information for numerology that I refer to, and this is the Philosopher's Stones. Let the Magic of Alchemy Transform Your Life. This is by Emmy Warlick. It came with a set of little stones and the symbols, but I refer to it quite often for the numbers and the information. And yes, it is annotated with dates when I've looked up information. So when I saw this and thinking of Cat Paws and getting in touch with her, I thought, well, this may be a fun read. This comes with a book. This is Numerology, A Guide to Using Your Deck. It's by Sahar Hanida Palmer. I love the colors. Hello, Cobalt. Had to come home with me. Numerology got my attention, and I have yet to open the deck because I am curious to see what the colors and all of this is like. I love they have the infinity symbol on the back. Of course, that amazing blue, deep purple, and of course it shows up a bit different on camera than it does. Oh, these are gorgeous. I'm just gonna peek at a few. That symbol may be familiar to some. What else do we have back here? Ah, yes. So this also ties in with Kabbalah. So we have Malkuth. Looks like the final number is 41. Then we get into the Kabbalah. So we have a variety of different colors and symbols for each number. I'm very much looking forward to that. And these will now fit back in here. This set is like this, and you have a ribbon. Typically, after I have cleansed my cards with smoke, or I could even do it with Reiki energy, then I tend to put them into something else special. I don't typically keep them in the boxes. And it may go into my consult regularly box. Just want to take a look at the book. So the book shows the card, the life cycle, keywords, and then a description. So this will be great. Minor cycles. I always enjoy because in the beginning of these books, they not only tell you about the cards, but they give you suggestions for different layouts and how to use them. Here we have Pythagorean name numerology. So this will definitely be fun. Number 8, and here we have the flower of life. And I actually have that on my Drunlov Secrets of Life book. See, again, connections to other things. So very much looking forward to getting into that. So I will definitely be getting in touch with Cat Paw and something specific that I want to ask her about with numerology, because as I say, she actually does numerology and has a much deeper understanding of all of that than I do. Mine is just general interest, but I certainly don't know how to do a number of different things with it. That is the Indigo shop. Then, of course, on the way home, I headed to the thrift store because, of course, I would. And the universe was having a fun day. So, all those amazing finds at Indigo. The fun certainly continued at the thrift store as I was chatting with one of the employees, and it was awesome. She was there on a Sunday. Normally, I see her on a Saturday. As we were chit chatting, I said, I've been coming in. I keep trying to find more Dresden files because I only have 2 of them so far, and I really want to get more of the collection before I get through it. And she said, there were a bunch of them over there yesterday. I don't know if they're still there today. Go take a look. And 8 of them were still there. Woohoo! So, yes, I now have 8 more Dresden files, which means 10 of them have all come from my local thrift store. Thank you so much, Goodwill. And yes, they were different prices, because 4 were in the smaller size, 4 are in the larger size, but still $3.50, $4. I can't get those prices even on Amazon, so you bet they were all coming home with me. And yes, I am very excited because it means now I can go on to Full Moon. I've only read Stormfront so far. Full Moon is sitting in my basket, waiting to be read. And now that I have 8 more books, I have one that is on its way to my door as I record this. And I've also put the Dresden Files on hold through my public library, actually through Libby, so they're going to be ebooks, and it fills in the gaps because the library has the 5-story collections as one. That means, and I've highlighted, I'm only missing Summer Night, which is currently on hold through my library in that collection. Deadbeat, which is also on hold, so I'll be able to read right through down to Small Favor. Then I'm missing Turncoat, Changes, Peace Talks, and Battleground, so I will need to check if those are even available on Amazon, because for some reason I know those aren't in my wish list. Summer Night is, but I'm wondering if I didn't put them in there, I'm going to have to check and see if they're available through Amazon or not. And yes, I am aware people have an issue with Amazon, and for different reasons. I understand the issues, but it's the only way that I can find some of these books at free shipping. I'm already paying extra prices because I'm buying them in Canada. So I'm sorry, but I need to go with where I can find items that I can afford to purchase. And yes, I may check some of the used bookstores in my area. I typically don't go to them because they tend to be downtown. And if you live in my city, you'll understand why. No, I don't want to go walking the streets in that area. Things have changed a great deal since I used to work downtown and had no problems with walking around down there. I don't even go to the central library location, which is also now located downtown versus a few blocks away like it used to be, because there are a lot of things that need to be changing in this city, and some of the things happening on the streets are one of them. I don't appreciate walking through pot smoke. I am not a pot smoker. If it's your thing, that's fine. I just don't want to walk through the fumes, thank you very much. And there are a number of other things that are happening that, no, I just not going to do it, and I'll leave it at that. Also, along with finding Harry Dresden, and in that same section, a few days ago in another video, I had mentioned that I had Arthur C. Clarke's 2010 Odyssey 2 and 3001, The Final Odyssey. I had planned to read them even though I didn't have 2001, but I did remember the movie. And then, boom, there was 2001 by Arthur C. Clarke. So thank you, universe. And of course, this is A Space Odyssey. There is a special introduction by the author, which is amazing. So now, thanks to the universe, I do have all 3 of the Space Odyssey books. So I can now start reading it. Love when that happens. So the universe Made sure 2001 was there for me so I could have that collection. The universe made sure I got 8 extra Dresden Files because I did just say that I wasn't going to start reading them until I had a number of other books to keep going. Love when the universe does that for me. As I was looking in my other favorite section, I was looking actually for ghost books, but they only had 3 and I've already got them. But in that same area are a variety of other subjects. So this certainly caught my eye. Do it yourself, Akashic Wisdom. Access the library of your soul. This is by Jackie Smith and Patty Shaw. Love the cover of that. Looking forward to reading it. And as I was glancing through, turns out I am not the only one who annotates books. So this will be extra interesting to go through and find out what they decided to highlight. So I'm very excited about that. And we're on to book haul part 2. And yes, some of my Amazon items arrived today. Turns out the rest are not expected until Wednesday. So I'll be finishing this video on Wednesday. But before I get to that, I need to finish all my finds from the thrift store. Now, funny story, and there usually is when it comes to my thrift store and finds. I've already shared about finding Odyssey 2001, so I now have that trilogy. I've shared about the 8 Dresden books that I found. So again, yay, universe heard what I was wanting to find. There are a couple of other yay for the universe finds, and it's just so funny how it works. And I know to some people that sounds bizarre, but I like looking at the world that way and having fun. Speaking of having fun, yes, I do have a copy of Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Däniken. I done hauled it years ago, just repurchased it several months ago, might be a year or so ago. This copy, sorry Noah, is solely to chop up. There are different things I want to get out of here. There's a section of photos that are coming out and other things that will be coming out of this book. So yes, I specifically picked this up, $3, for the purpose of doing some crafting with it. Now, another book. I was looking in the science section, actually for a Stephen Hawking book, but I didn't find one this time. But this caught my attention, The Planet Mars, A History of Observation and Discovery. This is by William Sheehan, and the copyright date on this is 1996. So I am very interested to see what comes up in this compared to Hancock's Mars Mystery and some of the other works that I have on Mars, of course, with all the other information that has been coming out recently. But I had first seen this on the top shelf, and I thought, yeah, I'm interested in reading Mars, but let's keep looking down the shelves. On the second shelf, there was another copy of the exact same book. And I'm like, okay, that's 2. If I see a third Mars book, then I'm meant to put this in the cart with my other books. And sure enough, on the third shelf, there was another book about Mars. So this one came home with me. And yes, that's sometimes how I find my books and decide what I'm buying. Let me know if you've ever done that when you're finding books. I just always find that exciting. I mean, if you've seen my book track video where I found 9 of the 10 series of the Alan Dean Foster's logbooks, and then on a whim, I went back several weeks later and I found book 10. So I now have 1 to 10, all set for June, and Book Trek, the event created by Vin at Revenant Reads. So excited, looking forward to that. And oddly enough, no, I did not pick up the Star Trek tarot deck that I saw, mainly because it was the next generation, and I am Star Trek original. Gotta have Spock, and you gotta have McCoy. It's just the way it is. So, no, I didn't pick up that tarot deck, even though it would have been an awesome part of my Star Trek collection, which is now growing thanks to the Book Trek event. What else did I find? There was one book, and it'll be the last one I show, one because it's big, and I'd seen it before, and I decided no. But as it turned out, and yes, you can see there's a stack here, someone had unhauled a number of their books. There were piles and piles, and all things that I love reading about. So going on Sunday, even though it wasn't a 50% off sale and I didn't get a discount, was still a great time to go shopping because there were all these books there that had arrived. There were all the Dresden File books that arrived. So it was perfect, and it made me very happy. This was definitely this is what I needed to just uplift my spirits, get me super excited about reading and making videos, because I can't wait to read through all of these and then talk about them. So, I've already mentioned The Gold of the Gods. This is by Eric von Daniken. I think this brings me up to 3 of his books. Chariots of the Gods is the one I'm most familiar with because that was pretty much all I read decades ago when I first started really getting into outside of the box books, or what some people consider outside of the box. I just find it interesting to read different theories and ideas and how do people come up with this. So there will definitely be a Von Daniken video coming up. I know Eric Von Daniken wrote either a foreword in one of Andrew Collins' books, or it may have been a commentary on the front. I don't think it's about Göbekli Temple. I'll have to look it up. But I know his name comes up in other works as well. Then I found The Mysteries of Stonehenge. This is by Fernand Neal. Not a new book, and I know because it's $1.75 and there's only one price, meaning it was before that whole US price and then a different Canadian price, and does have pretty colored edges. Now, I've just read 2 other books about Stonehenge. Right now, I can't think of the authors, but I will definitely need to reread those after I read this and do a comparison. So, yes, there will be a Stonehenge episode either this year or next year. It's just, I'm going to have to figure out when I can get all this reading done. Now, this one, this one I couldn't pass up because in August and September, I do my UFO conspiracy thing. There's no book event for it. It's just something I like to focus on at that time. And this book is by Frank Edwards, another author I don't know. Flying Saucers, Serious Business, Overwhelming New Evidence That They Are Real. The book that smashes through the barrier of official silence with the exclusive story, with 32 pages of astonishing photographs. So this will definitely be a book I'll be talking about in August. I found another UFO book last year. I know it's thick. I didn't get to read it last year, so I need to get that finished before August, along with this, and I'll be chatting about them in either August or September. This one definitely caught my attention, one, because of the cover, but two, as I was looking at it and the title, Communion, A True Story. This is written by Whitley Strieber, author of Transformation. And as I was reading that, I was thinking back to it's either Nick Pope, The Uninvited, which I don't think I've covered yet, so that will be coming up this summer again, or it was one of the other Nick Pope books. I don't think it was the ones to do with the Utah ranch, but I know this name has come up, so I'm very interested in reading that. Another book, and again, these were all from quite some time ago because one's 95 cents. The majority of them are $1.75. So these are all from the same era as my Dracula book, which was also $1.75. So this one is The Mysteries of Easter Island, a startling, mind-opening investigation into ancient sources of lost knowledge by Jean Michael Schwartz. I've always found Easter Island fascinating. There's, of course, new information about the figures, and they've, dug down literally a bit farther in the ground and found that the statues are bigger. They have yet to decipher the language that was found on that island. There's just so many interesting things about it. Now, again, do I think it's aliens or something like that? Not so much. I mean, there is so much to this earth and humanity, and because I, you know, looked into things like plate tectonics and the movement of the plates on the earth that make up our continents and things. Personally, I think it has to do with when you factor in that you have like your plates, and one, of course, is going down, one is going up. That's what causes earthquakes and things. And of course, they move slowly. But when you consider how long humanity has been around, these plates have been, sinking down and returning to magma and all the rest of it. How many civilizations have we lost and will never be able to find? And so to me, it isn't necessarily you have to look to the stars for answers, although I think there's certainly something to that. The universe is vast. But I also think there's so much more to human history and lost civilizations one may never be able to find out about because they've literally sunk into the level of magma and disappeared. But there are also a ton of things under the ocean that we simply cannot get to discover and learn about because, water levels have changed, so many things have changed. So I definitely think there's something to Easter Island. I'm just not sure what some of those answers are, and I always enjoy reading about that type of thing. Now, Charles Berlitz, I know of his work, The Bermuda Triangle. I repurchased that again not so long ago. This one is The Mystery of Atlantis. It will be interesting to see what he comes up with. I know his name also came up with Roswell when I did a review of one of my books. I believe that one was by Rupert Matthews. And he referred to a book by Charles Berlitz and another author, but I have yet to find that one. So who knows? Maybe now that I've put it out to the universe, that may appear the next time I go book shopping, which, by the way, won't be for a little while. Unless my hubby finally, it's been 37 years. Just win the lottery and I will have a heyday. This book is by Nandor Fodor, Between the Worlds. This has to do with reincarnations, ESP, magic spells, dreams of the future, hauntings, healings, and other phenomena that science cannot explain. I mean, that cover is just amazing. 50 strange but true adventures in the occult. The word, by the way, means hidden. The mysterious and the supernatural by the most amazing psychic investigator of our time. Okay, now I'm curious. I have not heard that name before. And yes, the amazing thing is there's only one of these so far that has white edges, so that's kind of cool as well. Now here's another one by Charles Berlitz. Ancient astronauts, our ancestors, a lost continent. Discover which one is the true answer to the unsolved mysteries from forgotten worlds. Ooh. Looking forward to that. So, okay, that means I now have 3 Charles Berlitz books. So my Von Daniken and Berlitz collection is increasing. This is No Earthly Explanation by John Wallace Spencer, author of the world-famous Limbo of the Lost. I've never heard of either, so I'm looking forward to this. Illustrated with 16 pages of astounding scientific photos. I mean, the covers on these, compared to some of the stuff you see today, is just fascinating. Now, this one, and it is a name I'm sure a number of people will recognize, this is The Cosmic Connection, an Extraterrestrial Perspective by Carl Sagan, my astronomical hero. And yes, a big part of why I was so fascinated with astronomy at a young age, and I have continued to be interested in it. We're all starfolk. Life beyond the earth is an idea whose time has come. Join the greatest adventure of all time. I mean, again, that cover is just astounding. It's Carl Sagan. I still need to finish one of his other books that I started. And like I say, these books have been around for a while because they were all originally priced at $1.17. I paid $3.50 for them. This is The Great Lakes Triangle. This is by Jay Gourley, and it says, deadlier than the Bermuda Triangle. Terrifying revelations about the mysterious Great Lakes region where ships and planes and men and women vanish forever. When I think of the Great Lakes and tragedies, I think of the Edmund Fitzgerald. There was a song, I believe it was Gordon Lightfoot. I've read about what happened to the Edmund Fitzgerald, and I'll be curious to see what this author has to say. It isn't something that I ever It isn't something that I ever researched. We've got the cutout of a plane, then we have a gorgeous ship there, and the individual who owned this book, it's July 1977. So I'm very much looking forward to that read. And the last book that I found in that particular stack in the shelf, Edgar Cayce on Reincarnation, Strange Psychic Accounts of People Who Have Lived More Than Once from the Files of America's Most Amazing Clairvoyant. This is by Noel Langley, under the editorship of Hugh Lynn Cayce, which was, of course, one of Edgar's sons. And I also have another book by Hugh Lynn Cayce that I need to read. And it must have been virtual tea the other day. No, it was. I know I was just talking about Cayce and Nostradamus. It was in my Coming in May live stream the other week. So I definitely need to get back into reading my Edgar Cayce books. And that stack is what I found. There were at least 5 other books I could have picked up to include with that, because I mean, really, $3.50 for, yeah, $3.50 for each of those books is a phenomenal price. And even though the books are older and the theories, of course, some have been disproven, things have changed, I still love having the older books to compare to what are people saying now. So whether it's Atlantis or the Akashic Records or Easter Island, Bermuda Triangle, whatever, I love reading about all of that type of thing and just the different theories people come up with and present. The last thing that I picked up from that shelf before I headed over and made that huge find of Dresden Files, The Truth is in Here, The Unexplained, an illustrated guide to the world's natural and paranormal mysteries. This is by Dr. Carl P.N. Schuker. Now, I haven't read anything by this author. I've looked at this book a couple of times when I've been in the store. I didn't pick it up until this time. I guess it was meant there just waiting for me, and this is kind of funny. I just opened it up on Mothman and the Mad Gasser of Mattoon. I have never heard of the Mad Gasser, but Mothman is definitely something I am interested in. There are a few things I've come across related to Mothman. Here we've got the Flying Dutchman. It starts from the shadows of the dark continent. Hi, Gina. Are you going to come over? Pausing for Gina to come over. Come on. Hurry up. Come on. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Oh, here we go. Now, the reason I roll over to get her is she steps on the stool. I don't know if you can hear her purring, but she steps up on the stool because, bless her heart, she's 17, so she can't jump up in the chair, but she can step on the stool, and then I wheel over, and she just steps over and settles in my lap. Wait, sweetheart. Okay, so now that we have her settled, little pumpkin, now that we have Xena settled, the reason that I picked this particular book up is because it relates these events to geography. So the contents are Great Britain and Ireland, continental Europe, the Middle East and Africa, Asia, North America, Mesoamerica and South America, and Austra- hmm, Australasia, and Oceania. Very much looking forward to reading through this. I love that at the front there's a map. Part of what I want to do with a number of my studies are relate them to the countries and the areas to look and see if there are certain kinds of patterns. This book will be a huge help with that since it already has a number of subjects broken down by location. Obviously, I was meant to have this book because, like I say, I've looked at it numerous times when I've been in my thrift store, and because I've been behaving a little bit more this year, well, up until this past Sunday. But this book has been sitting there several times, and nobody else snatched it up, and I absolutely did this time. I'll turn that down a bit because it just seemed kind of weird not being able to see Xena, and people are probably like, what the hell is she doing? Right, Xena? People might think it's a different kind of video. Yeah. The other items that I have to talk about came from Amazon. I am aware people have issues with Amazon. I understand why. But again, I don't have something comparable that's Canadian to order from or that allows me to order online and get it in such a timely manner with discount prices. So, because I am on a limited income, I go for what I can afford, and basically, books and a few office supplies are all I personally order through Amazon. My first pick, and yes, I had my husband go through my wish list, and I went, I want that and that and that, was of course the Dresden Files. So I ordered book number 3. Lucky me, this isn't one of the books that I found at my thrift store. So that brought me up to 9 New Dresden books and a total of 11 because I'd found 2 others at my thrift store before, meaning I just have to find a few more to finish my collection. And now I can start reading the Dresden Files, as I just mentioned the other day. I was a bit surprised when I realized I ordered The Midwich Cuckoos instead of Day of the Triffids. Day of the Triffids is my favorite John Wyndham book. Back in high school, I had read Day of the Triffids and The Chrysalids by John Wyndham. I loved both of them. I'm very surprised that I didn't continue reading Wyndham, but it could just be that I was reading so many different authors then. There was Robert Heinlein and Stephen King and Isaac Asimov. And I think there may have been a few Alfred Hitchcock collections in that time period as well. So it wasn't until a few years ago that I read The Midwich Cuckoos. And I also read Chalky. So slowly I am building up my John Wyndham collection. So I now own The Midwich Cuckoos, The Chrysalids. I also found one of his other novels that I haven't read before during one of my recent thrift store hauls. So now I have 3 of the John Wyndhams. The next item, and yes, Noah, this is all about annotating and book murdering, is a fine liner pen set that's 48 pieces. And it comes in this lovely case, nice carry handle, and it opens into different sections. So we start in the front with an eraser, sharpener, pencils, our first set of colors, our next set of colors, more colors, and just a card as well. So excited to start using these. And of course, the great thing is, as these pens wear out, which sadly pens do, I can always fill them up with other pens that I get. There we go, a lovely fine point, which makes them perfect for annotating in books, doing notes in journals, and I'm very excited to start using all of those and making my notes extra colorful. Now, the other items will be arriving on Wednesday. I know for sure there are 2 more books from an author that many of you who watch my channel know. Super excited to be getting those because it means I'll be able to read more of her work on my channel. I can't wait to find out where Tessa goes in the next 2 books. That will be part 3 of this recording. I am one very, very happy little camper. Don't know if you can hear Xena purring, but if I was a cat, I'd be purring. So many fun finds. So excited to get busy and planning out when I'll be reading these books, because I have a number of things on the go. I have the Wheel of Time group read, but that's okay. That's 1 book a month. And thankfully, it's, if life happens, we bump the reading date back. So that's all good. I have my buddy read with Kat. A few others may be joining us for the Vampire Chronicles. But again, that's 1 book a month. And if we need to bump a book to another month, it's all low stress, low pressure. That is definitely my kind of read. May, I'm already busy with Horror Mayhem and a number of books that I want to get to for that event. I do it a bit different, and I want to read The Shining. I still have to decide about Dr. Sleep. I did forget to check if my library has it or not. So I'll wait and see about whether I'm going to read those back to back or not. I have a number of short stories that I want to get to. And then, of course, I have all these amazing books that I just found, and I want to read all of them all at once. It's kind of typically what happens when I get new books, and now I don't know where to start. I do know I will be waiting on John Wyndham and finding out if Gareth is going to be doing Winter Wyndham again, in which case those 3 books will wait until December when winter starts. I definitely want to revisit Harry Dresden soon. I have Full Moon in my May basket. Grave Peril will now be going in there as well. I have so many books to still finish from 2024. I have several books that I still need to finish from 2025. These first few months, I have been spectacular at starting books and nowhere near good at finishing them. I think it's just been such uncertain times, such bizarre things going on that, I start them and then a few days later I'm on to something else other than the Vampire Chronicles and Wheel of Time at the moment. So hopefully all these exciting new books, new to me books, and new books will get me all fired up, keep me hopeful, positive, and excited about whatever the future holds. Zena's going to make sure that I stay here working at the desk for a little bit, which means I'll be looking through some of these books because with little Zena, you just never know. Sometimes she'll stay for 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes she'll stay for an hour or longer, depending on what I'm doing at the desk. And she always lets me know when it's time to move because she'll turn around and then I just scoot over so that she can step over to the stool and be on her way. So, yes, it's nice to have my little warrior princess with me. And yes, sometimes you may have noticed I called her Gina. So, yeah, she's used to either being called Zena or Gina. And she's a cat, so she doesn't come when she's called anyways. Right, little princess? So yes, so some kitty cuddle time. Part 3 to my went crazy book shopping video. So my last 3 books arrived on Tuesday, so not Wednesday. They came early. And yes, I already started one yesterday because I finished Queen of the Damned. This is Murderous Fairies, Book 2 in the Midnight Detective Agency. So I am back to visiting with Tessa and Bloodsworth, and I'm almost finished. I am hoping to finish today. Very excited about that for 2 reasons. One, because I very much enjoy visiting with Tessa and the stories. This is written by Nicole Brona, our good pal from Nicole's Bookish Nook. Once I finish this, I will also be finished my 25 out of 25 reading goal. Yes, I set it low this year. The last 3 years have been 100 books. I've managed 100 books, but I wanted to lower it way down this year because I just ended up in November, December stressing out about the number. And instead of picking books based on what I really wanted to read, I was picking them based on how can I get through these quickly and meet that goal. So, yay, now I will be done before May. The other book that arrived was Midnight Murders, also by Nicole Brona, and the third book in the Midnight Detective Agency, and again with Tessa. Looking forward to seeing where things go in this story. In our second one, we have, as the name implies, a number of fairies that have been murdered, so Tessa and Bloodworth have to figure out what's going on. In Midnight Murders, a shapeshifter in jeopardy, one investigative reporter who's getting used to the job, and an endless supply of magical trouble. Tessa O'Hara is finally getting comfortable in her new job, but when an extremely rare shapeshifter turns up on her doorstep in need of help after being nearly kidnapped by masked assailants, it's up to Tessa to break the case. Very much looking forward to this read. We again have Tessa. We have Bloodsworth, who is a 500-year-old vampire detective. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this mystery turns out for the two of them. The third book that arrived, and the final book of my 34-book shopping spree, is The Elementals by Michael McDowell. On the front it says, "The finest writer of paperback originals in America." That's by Stephen King. This has a new introduction by Michael Rowe. I've read 3 other Michael McDowell books, and I've talked about them numerous times. The Amulet, high body count, but definitely an enjoyable read, unless you have problems with very gruesome, descriptive, violent scenes. Cold Moon over Babylon, not such a high body count, but there is definitely some things in there if you're a bit squeamish. Blackwater, excellent story, not as high a body count, but Michael McDowell was a Southern Gothic horror writer. I've never read The Elementals. I've heard great things about it. I know I enjoy Michael McDowell's work, so I'm very much looking forward to this read. Yes, my library had it, but this is book number 4 of mine that I own of Michael McDowell, so yes, I'm very happy and decided to make the purchase. On the back it says, "Surely one of the most terrifying novels ever written." That's by Poppy Z. Bright, and Poppy wrote the introduction to one of the other novels I have. I just can't remember which of the 3 it is right now. One of the best writers of horror in this or any other country. That's by Peter Straub. So, I mean, Michael McDowell was certainly highly regarded by other authors. He was a fabulous author. I'm not sure why his books went out of print for a time, but I am grateful to Valancourt Books, who have begun publishing his works again and made them available to new readers. And if you're a horror reader and you haven't read Michael McDowell, you are definitely missing out. Just a brief snippet from the back. After a bizarre and disturbing incident at the funeral of matriarch Marion Savage, the McCrae and Savage families look forward to a restful and relaxing summer on Alabama's Gulf Coast, where 3 Victorian houses rise above the shimmering beach. 2 of the houses are habitable, while the third is slowly and mysteriously being buried beneath an enormous dune of blindingly white sand. But though long inhabited, the third house is not empty. Inside, something deadly lies in wait. Something that has terrified Dauphin Savage and Lucre McCrae since they were boys, and which still haunts their nightmares. Something horrific that may be responsible for several terrible and unexplained deaths years earlier, and is now ready to kill again. That description is very interesting because in Blackwater, there are also 3 houses near water. So I'm interested to see what happens in The Elementals. That concludes my went crazy, bought 4 books, 2 card decks at Indigo, bought 25 books at my Goodwill book thrift store, and bought 5 books from Amazon. Now it's time to get my reading planned out. I'm very excited to delve into the new books. Like I said, I've already started one of the new ones. I will definitely be going right on to the next book in the Midnight Murders. And I'm not sure if I will, after that, start the Elementals or if I decide to go to Full Moon and get into the Dresden Files. So, yes, this is definitely a longer than usual book haul video, which is why I've put it up Thursday as my live stream. Because as we know, my live streams definitely go over 1 hour. Let me know if your team rewatch. Let me know if you've read any of the numerous authors that I've mentioned, if there's any subjects that are of particular interest to you. Partly because, as I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day, I really think that with some exceptions, I will likely be chatting about a lot more nonfiction books in the coming months. I still have the list that I put together last year to try and kind of help keep my reading on track in terms of subjects. So I may end up heading back to that. We'll see how it goes. Just had to close the curtain because it's starting to get sunny, which is nice because it's been gray and overcast all morning. But I'll see where things go. I'm getting a few more videos recorded, finishing up with editing on some others. I do have community posts daily to keep people updated on what I'm working on or what I'm up to. You can always check in there, as I mentioned, the upcoming videos, the live streams, and I'll be getting more on track with all of that. Thank you so much to everyone who was able to join me for the premiere and share comments as we went through my massive bookshop. A big thank you to Team Rewatch. And until next time, remember, be safe, be well, and big hugs. That's the final part of that. I just wanted to present it this way, and hopefully people enjoyed hearing about all the new books. We'll see what ends up happening first. I have finished Murderous Fairies, and I hopped into the Elementals, but I will definitely be getting on to the final story with Tessa. Anyhow, have a great evening. Thanks for joining me. Take care.